Reading with your kids.
Hola, niho, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni moli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so honored that you are joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, Ghana, Google Podcasts, Himalaya, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Lisa Wee. She is here to celebrate Lena Is My Name. Before we invite Lisa into the studio, we want to invite you to connect with us on social media. So many places. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids. At Jedley Magic on Twitter. At Reading With Your Kids on Instagram. We have a wonderful Reading With Your Kids page on Pinterest. And rumor has it that we're going to be getting up on TikTok. Well, actually, we already have a presence on TikTok. We haven't done anything with it, and we need your help. We don't know what we should be doing on TikTok. So please go to readingwithyourkids.com. When you go there, you can sign up for our free newsletter. But also, please use the contact button at the top of the page to let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we could be doing better. Let us know who you would like to hear on the show. But most of all, right now, let us know what we should be doing, if anything, on TikTok. Join us right now from the nation of Singapore. Our guest today is here to celebrate her brand new picture book. It's called Lena Is My Name. Please welcome to the show, Lisa Wee. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Hey, Jed. This is so good to see you, even though it's midnight in Singapore.
I was going to say, Lisa was kind enough to stay up until midnight to talk about her children's book. Probably not a lot of children's book interviews happening at midnight.
I agree. Not a lot of them. I think a lot of my neighbors are asleep.
Okay, well then we won't get too crazy here. Tell us about Lena Is My Name, please.
Lena is a little cute girl who is really kind of sassy, smart, and resourceful. And she has unusual hobbies. She likes to rollerblade, do footballs, and then she likes to run, and she even plays the guitar. I think it's really very unusual for a little girl. So all her neighbors was noticing, why is this little girl doing all these things, which is only meant for little boys? So Lena felt that activities such like playing footballs, going on a rollerblade should not just be for boys. It should be for boys and girls. So Lena got teased a lot in the neighbors. So a lot of time when girls do boys things, they are called a little name called tomboy. Mm-hmm. So Lena wasn't very happy with being called tomboy. So she decided with her group of friends to do a performance in her school talent show to let all her neighbors and also her friends know how she feels about it. And I guess if you want to know the ending, you just have to read the book.
There you go. There you go. You know, Lisa, this is really interesting. Of course, attitudes are different from different cultures, but and attitudes change over time. I've mentioned here on the show many times, I'm almost 100 years old. And I've lived, when I was a kid, the best athlete in our neighborhood was my cousin Darlene. And she was phenomenal. And she was always out there playing football with us, playing baseball, all those different things. I never thought, I know we use the term tomboy. I don't know if we use it directly to her. But the interesting thing was when we would go from our neighborhood to try to play anything organized, she wasn't allowed to play with us. And that was something that we just didn't understand. Where, it's, and even the adults were like, she can't play, she's a girl. And I'm like, well, if she's a girl and she can't play, why would you worry about her being on our team? In your eyes, it'll be a disadvantage. But anyways, thankfully, we're at a point now where when my son played football, American football, there were 3 or 4 of his teammates were girls, and they were tough as nails, boy, I tell you. So things have changed. They're not perfect by any means, but I'm happy that I've been alive long enough to see these kind of things change. Darlene, growing up in the year, if she was 10, 11 years old in 2022, no one would be complaining about her playing at all.
Well, do you watch the Olympics in Beijing, the Winter Olympics Beijing? You know about Nathan Chen, right? The figure skier.
Tell us, because I didn't see a lot of the Winter Games.
So Nathan Chen is Asian American, and when he was growing up, he actually said it in an interview. When he was growing up, he had a lot of problems going to the skating rink to actually practice, because all the boys were all teasing him that figure skating is for girls. So, and he's a really young man. All Olympic skaters are really very young. So I feel that such problems still exist because we still categorize activities as this is for boys and this is for girls. So if you were to see a boy wearing pink, I think boys has it even harder than girls. Like if we were to see a boy wearing pink, we would probably comment on why is he wearing a girl's color. Or a boy were to do ballet, poor boy, I think he would be really teased that this is not a boy thing to do, because this is like very sissy kind of, things to do. So I think the gender stereotype is still in existence in many ways. I think it's not just merely in my culture. I think it's really happening everywhere else. I feel that this is a very powerful picture book because we as a society are very unconscious when we do this to our little ones. It's really very unconscious. Say, for example, if you were to see a lot of videos to review the gender of your kids, they will always say the blue is for boys. The balloons when the confetti come out is always for boys. It's always blue. And if it's for girl, boom, the confetti comes out, which is girl. So it's really very unconscious on our part because it's kind of programmed in us to say that this is really for girls. This is really for boys. And as we grow up, we become desensitized about the way we treat girls who does, inverted commas, boys things. I think maybe Darlene was in a great neighborhood and having you as a cousin.
Well, I think we were afraid that Darlene would beat us up if we didn't let her play.
I thought so too.
But you bring up a couple of topics, and truths. I never thought the term tomboy was disparaging. Growing up, because again, it was like people would say that about Darlene, and Darlene was awesome, and she was in addition to being a great athlete, she was also very pretty, and she was fun, and all those things. So when people said, "Oh, she's a tomboy," it's like, I think all girls should be tomboys. We can all play together. But you also brought up the fact that a lot of times when guys would do something like figure skate or do ballet, they would be called a sissy. And I actually haven't heard that term in an awfully long time. And you're right. And no one ever thought that being called a sissy was a compliment. So that's you are reminding me of some of something that it's a real issue. And it's interesting because, boy, any male or female who can do figure skating, and any male or female who are doing ballet, especially at that ultimate level, they are better athletes than anyone else.
I
It
agree.
takes tremendous.
I agree. I agree. I think stereotypes should not be. We should never think that there is a positive and negative part of stereotyping. Stereotyping is just stereotyping. A lot of time, most girls, when we were called tomboy, we were. The tendency is that most girls will just shrug it off, and because we thought to ourselves, hey, we're not being fun to accept inverted comma positive stereotyping. But I think in many circumstances, the picture book was trying to do is that we should treat each other according to our name. So the title is Lena is my name, because we should look at the person and look at the individual instead of grouping them as, oh, I'm a girl, this is what girls do. And I'm a boy, this is what boys do. And I think if we stop doing such a thing, we have lesser of stereotyping in terms of race, in terms of age, in terms of occupations. Like, for example, guys in a very prominent nursing positions, because we never thought that guys should be a nurse, or girls should be an astronaut, because there's so little girls as an astronaut. Yeah. So in many ways, I feel that if we treat each other as individuals and use that basis, we'll find ourselves we found each other in a better society as a person. And we also find it a lot more palatable, because girls and boys can explore when they are young. I think as a child, giving that permission to a child to explore, we will never know we're going to find the next Maradona who is a girl.
Yeah.
Or the next wonderful footballer, or the next astronaut that is a girl.
Right. Lisa, I wonder, where do you think the behavior that a lot of people engage in of stereotyping, where do you think that desire for us to look at somebody and say, oh, this person is a male and has blue eyes and white skin and wrinkles, so that must mean this person is female and is Asian and dark hair, and that means this, and this. Where do you think that came from? I don't know. I
think that's a really great question. I actually asked myself when I was writing the book, because I don't want the book to be just simply a very shallow and basic kind of book. One of the things that I noticed is that as an adult, we like to label things. I'm not too sure about myself. I go to my kitchen, I like to label everything so that I know how to place somebody, And I think as a society, this is what we do. Our roads can never be unnamed, I guess. We just have to label it. Our furniture has to be in a certain place, so we had to label things. But the labeling is not really healthy when it comes to a developing child, because a developing child still wants that opportunity to explore, to be themselves. And that self-image and self-identity is a very fragile thing, especially girls and boys who is looking at things in a very different way and choose to do things that is really very different. So if as a society we give them permission, or not even permission, we're just allowing them to be what they want to do, until to the fact that they are ready and say, okay, I am like this and I want to be like this. So if we stop that labeling and put a sticker so too early on their life, I think they would have achieved a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we certainly don't want to discourage kids from exploring. And one of the things, the kind of a basic rule, not so much a rule, but one of the things that we encourage all families to do is to teach their kids to love and respect and include everyone. That everybody that they meet is deserving of love, to be respected, to be included. And I think that Lena Is My Name is a great book to kind of start talking about those about that issue and reminding kids that we're here to love everyone. What was it that inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, a few years ago, a friend of mine, the daughter came back really upset, and she was in the point of being in tears. She came back and she was really upset because she couldn't find a football team to take her. And believe it, she's in international school. So, it's really, anything is possible in international school. But unfortunately, there was no one to take a girl into their team, because they are seen as, different strength than others. So she came back and then she said something that impacted me. And she says this: why do we categorize activity as boys and girls? And I thought to myself, this is only like 2 or 3 years ago. And this is not like, 20 years when I was growing up or 30 years when I was growing up again. This was really current. So issues like this still happens. We still label girls and boys, and we still expect it to be a boy thing and a girl thing. It happens. And I decided that I wanted to write Lena that point because I feel that childhood should not be taken away from a child just on the basis that she's a girl or she's a boy or he's a boy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I'm imagining, I'm trying to look back and think about how devastated I might have been had I been somebody that wanted to dance ballet and was told that I couldn't because I was a boy, especially if I was really good at it.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, I could be really very disappointed. Even a couple of years ago, when I was in uni, we were talking about gender stereotype. And at that point Hasbro was producing pink colors, chef's things, right? Mm-hmm. So they have the cutting board, they have the cooker, the ovens, and they're all in pink. So one day there was this little girl and the brother. The brother wanted to be a chef, and they went to the stores. We read it in the newspaper. They went to the stores. Everything was in pink. So she wrote, this little girl, I think she was like 8 years old. She wrote into Hasbro to ask them, why do you color code all your toys to be pink for girls, blue for boys? Hasbro listened to her, and they came up with different types of colors nowadays for all these things, just to encourage kids not to look at them into boys for, blue for boys, pink for girls. And I think it's a great progress that we're having, but it's still not enough in many ways.
Yeah, yeah. If you were to have a magic wand, because there are differences between boys and girls, biological boys and girls, and a lot of the stereotypes, because a lot of guys come out and they're really rough and they like to bang each other, and girls, a lot of girls tend to be nurturing. But there are girls who love, like my cousin Darlene, who love to go out there and bang, and there are guys who aren't really big fans of that and love to be friends and have conversations and read and be nurturing. If you had a magic wand and could change things, what would you do to kind of make the world a better place in terms of accepting each other as they are?
A magic wand would be wonderful to solve a lot of problems, isn't it? I think the word different is such a big thing in the eyes of people. You know, when you are different, there is certain things that people look at you and go like, how should I label you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you feel like you're not this and you're not that, and then that should be like this, you know. So I think in a perfect world, the word different should be something like, wow, she's so amazing and brave.
Yeah.
So if I have a magic wand, I will change the word. It's wonderful to be brave. It's wonderful to be yourself, and you are courageous to be different.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. You are courageous to be different. I think that is something that we should remember, and it's a good time now that we've shared that insight to ask you where we can go to find out more about you and find out more about Lena Is My Name.
Okay. Lena Is My Name is published under Dixie Books, UK. So you can find Lena on W.H. Smith Books. It's online, and Amazon as well. Plus, I think Book Dispository. So it will come out on the 31st of March, 2022. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time.
Well, we've had a really, really fun time speaking to the author of Lena Is My Name, Lisa Wee, and she's talking to us in the wee hours of the morning. It's 12:30 now in Singapore, and we really appreciate her joining us. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Judge, for having me.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Armando Rodriguez. He'll be here to celebrate anything's possible. What do you want to be when you grow up? It's a really fascinating conversation with a dedicated educator who is so excited to motivate kids to be all they can be. That's the next episode of the podcast. Hey, if you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to help you celebrate the book. And you may have noticed that you need help celebrating your book, whether you're published by a huge publishing company or you're an independent, I should say, especially if you're an indie or self-published author. We all need help celebrating our books. Do you know that there are over 2,000 books published every single month? That's the reality. It's not an exaggeration. There are literally thousands of books published every single month. It is hard to stand out in that crowd. We would love to help you. We can celebrate your book here on the podcast with commercials. We can celebrate your book to our 75,000 plus social media followers. We can celebrate your book on our nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards. And of course, we can help you celebrate your book by inviting you to be a guest on the podcast. You can learn all about these possibilities by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page and scroll on down to see how you can be a guest, submit your book to our Certified Great Read panel, and take part in our promotional program. Do it today, readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Lisa Wee. Please be sure to check out Lena Is My Name. Also want to thank my team, Alejandro Doherty, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Skylar Strauss. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.